Alright, so the second thing I want to talk about is tackling, long chains of kanji or difficult kanji. And this is something that I feel like a lot of people want strategies on, and I mean there's a lot of information out there. I'm really in between. I always think that on YouTube and so on there are people who are like sugoi jouzu hito, like very fluent Japanese or peta peta, and then there are people that are like beginners asking questions, and I think I'm sort of in the middle where I'm studying and observing these things and I like documenting it. I just want to share what I'm observing as it happens, and this is like how I'm tackling bigger, denser kanji. Now, one of the scariest things you can see when you just start learning Japanese are long chains of kanji that you have no idea how to read. I mean, the same thing happened to me. And there's a blog post I made on the sign I can now read. It's called the sign I can now read, where I talk about eventually being able to read a sign when that was in Japan, but I'm not even in Japan now, but now I can read the sign in Japanese that I couldn't read when I was in Japan. And it's interesting how I just kind of broke it up and said, wait, I know this part, this part, this part, and I just kind of got a sense of the meanings. So I'm going to give you two examples again of how I attack really big kanji, and it's an approach for like how I attack kanji in general. You already saw how I attack basic sentences, so you're going to see how like I go after like breaking down denser kanji and how I try to remember it. Alright, so this is a precursor to this lesson. Now what I do when I'm looking up kanji is I'll open my iPhone application called Kotoba. This is Kotoba, and it's one of the best free dictionaries you can get for your iPhone. So what I'll do is if I see a kanji that I know the English meaning of, I simply punch in the name here. So let's say, for example, type in metropolis, and hit search. What's going to come up is all these kind of phrases with metropolis, and I'll see like the one that I learned, like this is shuto, and I learned this kanji here for metropolis. So what I do is, before, when I see kanji that I don't know, I simply punch in the meaning here and get the meaning in context in an example using this dictionary. And this is how I start the process of breaking down the kanji as I'm going through them. Alright, so right now I'm going to talk about breaking up complex kanji. And this is really interesting for me because fiddling with kanji, always leaves me a little frazzled at times, but as time passes and I'm able to recognize each of the kanji I see, it sometimes blows my mind how I can recognize a really big kanji. So I'm going to write one. But first I'm going to write two very common words that will kind of lead into what I'm saying. So the first word I'm going to write is Kyoto. Alright, and Kyoto is capital metropolis. These two, capital metropolis. Then I'm going to write Tokyo. And you can see that Tokyo, Kyoto, these are the same, right? And then Kyoto is metropolis, okay? Alright. So, what I'm going to write now is the name of a place that has a lot of long and very dense kanji, and it's going to be broken up using these. So it's a Tokyo, Te, and B, Jitsu. Oops. Alright, now this looks pretty beastly, but it's a Tokyo, Teien Bijutsukan. It's the Tokyo
Metropolitan Art Museum, Courtyard Art Museum, right? I'm going to break it up. So, remember, Kyoto, Tokyo, right? So, this is Tokyo. This is Metropolis or Metropolitan. This is Teien, which is courtyard. And this is Bijitsukan, literally beautiful art building. Okay, this is broken up. This one is courtyard and this one is park. So breaking it up, you can see that Tokyo Teien Bijitsukan is a very interesting and long kanji, but when I look at it now, I can identify each of the individual parts using Heisig. I already know Tokyo, so in writing it, it's To Kyo. Okay, Tokyo. This one is Tokyo. Tei, that's courtyard. N is park. B is beautiful. Then Jutsu is art, and Kan is building. So one more time, Tokyo Teien Bijitsukan. And once you know all these individual parts, you'll start being able to break up kanji a little better. I'm going to do another example real quick. Alright, so for my next example, I used to live in Shinjuku, and every day I used to walk past a place called Shinjuku Historical Museum, and it's the same kind of thing. I walked past a place and I sought to recognize some of the characters in the name, but I couldn't actually write it or really read it. So I'm going to break it up and show you how you can break it up for yourself using other kanji. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to write, this is Shinjuku. Okay, that's Shinjuku. Shinjuku, right? Now, history is Rekishi is history, and museum is Hakubutsukan. It's like a beastly kanji, but basically it's Hakubutsu, and kan, which you keep seeing. Let's write it down. So Hakubutsu kan. Alright, so Shinjuku Museum, and Shinjuku history and museum. So you can kind of figure out what the Shinjuku Historical Museum is going to be. It's going to be all of these grouped up together. So writing them in a line, and a lot of buildings are like this, and a lot of dense kanji are in the same way. It's usually pieces that just kind of fit together. So writing it down. So Shinjuku Rekishi Haku Butsu Kan. Okay. Now doing the same old Heisig trick. This is new. This is in. This is calendar. This is history. This means doctor. This is thing. And this is building. Okay? So you're basically saying new in. But we know this as Shinjuku, which is a place. So new in, calendar, history, doctor, thing, building. Now, it isn't a stretch of the imagination to see that doctor, thing, building could be a museum, since a museum is filled with things that generally doctors find. And calendar, history, you know, history calendar, calendar history, Rekishi. So all I do now is I go to my application and look up each of these words in the dictionary and then piece them together and find the meaning. And this allows me eventually to be able to just reproduce it in writing. There are many, you know, buildings that are like long like this. Many of them have kan at the end. Everything with museum usually has hakubutsu kan or some variation of hakubutsu and something else. So it's an example to show you how tackling difficult kanji like Tokyo Totein Bijutsukan or Shinjuku Hideshi Hakubutsukan is possible just by, you know, using Heisig and starting to transition.
Okay, so I hope that was helpful for people that are trying to learn just like me. I'm still learning, and as usual, if you want to shoot me a comment or email or even a suggestion, please do at marcustube@gmail.com, or you can visit my website jamaicanlearningjapanese.wordpress.com. From now on, I'm just going to focus on some of the systems that are out there, like the Anki system, which basically helps you remember a lot of kanji and grammatical Japanese in context spoken at native speed. I'm going to talk about sentences, something called hyperreferencing, which allows, you know, which is just how I set up my reference environment. So, you know, just to check the meanings of things. And then I'm also going to talk about immersion, how to set up an immersion environment. I mean, I don't do it very well, but I know everything you can do, so I'm going to explain. So these are some of the things I want to explain. And then, you know, I just hope it helps somebody out there, because I love learning this stuff, and I hope somebody can, you know, benefit from it. I've spent a lot of time learning, so as usual, ganbatte.